All right, let's get to our next discussion now. In vitro fertilization, otherwise known as IVF, is a method that has assisted millions of women have their babies and children, and it's a procedure that doctors recommend. It is a method of assisted reproduction in which a man's sperm and a woman's eggs are combined outside of the body in a laboratory dish. Now, one or more fertilized eggs, or embryos as you may call it, may be transferred into the woman's uterus, where they may implant in the uterine lining and development. However, there are several misconceptions surrounding this procedure, ranging from societal beliefs, cultural and religious stands. And we have someone who is going to help us make sense of this. So joining us in the studio to discuss whether or not IVF is a safe method is fertility expert and founder and CEO, Precious Conceptions, Toyin Lulu Ogumade. It's nice to have you this morning.
Thank you.
It's been a while that we have you up here.
Yes, it's been a long while. Well, it's
Exactly.
always good to come
No,
back.
of course, it's good to have you around.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the IVF is something that a lot of, the moment you mention that, some people feel it's something for rich people, not for some persons who were here and all of that. But talk to us generally about the knowledge of what IVF is and what it is not.
Okay. Incidentally, it's the Infertility Awareness Month.
Okay.
And IVF is about 44, 45 years old now. So you know it's not something that started yesterday. And the first baby that was born through IVF, Louise Brown, is also a mother herself. And she didn't give birth through IVF. So that's one conception people think. They think because you've had IVF, then your children will automatically have.
So it's not hereditary?
And it's not hereditary. IVF is a bypass procedure. That's what I call it. Because you are not particularly treating an ailment, but you are helping that couple that has not been able to achieve a baby on their own do so, you know, with the help of technology. Yeah. So what it does is to look at what the situation is, whether the man or the woman, and then say, what can we do here? If it's the man, it's usually the sperm issues, whether he's not producing or he's not able to conduct such that he's able to fertilize the eggs his wife releases, yeah, or his partner. If it's the woman, it could be several things. It could be that she's not releasing eggs. It could be that her uterus is not competent enough. It could be that medically she's not well enough to carry a child. And then IVF helps this particular couple to achieve a baby. And there are several variants of IVF. It could be that the couple will need gamete donation, like sperm donor or egg donor, or even surrogacy, the sort that I had, you know. So if what I say is it's assisted technology, it's to help you achieve a purpose. Just like I'm wearing glasses, if I remove my glasses, I can't read Jack, you know. But technology has helped me to read and to function effectively. That's basically what IVF does.
Okay, but you also said now that IVF, and you know, I appreciate the options that IVF you know, give to people. But then you said it's not a correction to an ailment. So one would ask that what happens to that ailment, you know, after IVF have been done. So so what happens to the underlying ailment or the inability, what caused the inability to conceive naturally? What happens there?
Okay. So for you to go for IVF, it means you've tried all your best possible and nothing you tried worked. For some people, it's because they have a medical situation. For some people, it's because we can't even explain what is going on with them. They're not just making babies together. You know, the funny thing is, either of these partners might go to another person and they are able to achieve a pregnancy together, but with a particular partner they're with, they are not able to do so. And what the plan says is that if you're unable to achieve a pregnancy in the space of 1 year together with frequent unprotected intercourse, then you seek help. So the help is for you to have a baby. And then you can have your baby and then address what the situation is, if it can be reversed. But the good thing is if you go to a fertility specialist early enough, a lot of these illnesses, because infertility has been recognized as a disease, a lot of these issues can be managed, reversed, or corrected early enough. But if you don't do it early enough, or you don't know what to do early enough, then you have that option of IVF. Or maybe you're growing too old and you do not want to waste time trying treatments all over again. Then you can have that alternative in IVF.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the prevailing issues around our society. We are very religious people and
Yes.
cultural people.
Yes.
And you will hear people say all sorts of things from the religious perspective, from the cultural perspectives, and so on. But share with us some of the things you have heard regarding what religious beliefs people have against IVF, or what cultural beliefs people have against IVF.
The first one is you're assisting God. That's the
I
first
see.
one.
Okay.
I
And
don't
are
have
you?
enough faith. I am not. How can I assist God? It's only God that gives life. See, at some point in IVF, when we've done our best, you've prepared the man, prepared the woman, you've got the best embryos, you've got the best uterus. The doctor even tells you all is in God's hands. The moment they transfer that embryo, it's on its own. It's in God's hands. There's nothing you can do to assist God. He's the only one that releases life. I've seen people who've done IVF 7 times. I did 3 times before it worked. Yeah? And it doesn't work. And then this person will wake up one day and she's pregnant. And you're wondering, what's going on here? Do you understand me? So the first thing is you're not assisting God. Like I said, I need glasses to read. So technology has helped me. Technology is helping us in this room. The viewers are worldwide, watching us here in Lagos, Nigeria. And technology has helped us transmit information to them.
What some people would have considered witchcraft.
Yes. Because the very first baby that was born, 45, you can imagine, like 45 years ago, her mom faced a lot of difficulty in the church. IVF was not accepted. She was called weird baby. People think that you're assisting God. God has destined you to be barren or without a child. So why are you forcing his hands? That's not the case. The Bible even says none shall be barren. And in these days, you have options to choose from. You can do IVF, you can adopt, Another misconception is that, like I mentioned earlier, if you've gone through IVF, that means your child will also have IVF. That's not true. Another misconception is that IVF babies are not normal. They are 100% normal. My children are normal. They're 11 years old, and I had them through surrogacy.
Amazing.
And even despite the fact that I had them through surrogacy, I was able to nurture them and breastfeed them. So there are ways that technology helps that people. So I find out that when someone does not understand your pathway or he's not aware of what you're doing, they tend to misconstrue and then label with all sorts of stickers and name tag and
So this is about inadequate enlightenment.
Yes, so there's a lot of misunderstanding, there's a lot of hush-hush, and that's why we're breaking the silence so that people can know that these things are normal. And in the days of tech and advancement in science, why not embrace it? Another one is that, okay, so you have mentioned that IVF babies are not normal, they are normal. Even if you don't breastfeed, your babies are normal and healthy, so long as you take the necessary immunizations and you protect them, let their bodies develop natural immunity, So these are some of the issues that we're facing. And then you mentioned the issue of cost. It's expensive,
Oh, yes.
Unfortunately.
Let's talk about that.
It's expensive, and I wish that our government will do something about it. Now they are improving in terms of providing national health insurance for everybody.
But it doesn't cover it, does it?
But it doesn't cover IVF to a large extent. So I'm looking at a future, and I'll be happy if this present administration can look into that, including the option of IVF into the primary healthcare, sector. So don't think it has to be a specialist thing and the person now has to pay out of pocket, but you make it in such a way that it's affordable for, every man on the street.
What's the range of costs? I know it's not just one figure across the board.
Yes.
What can one look at generally from what amount to what amount, if you have to mention?
Okay, so if you're going for IVF and you're under 35, say for instance, you should comfortably look at like a 1.6 million. Which covers the screening, because we have to screen you and make sure that what you're presenting with is what the hospital can work with in terms of getting you good results. So it covers the screening, it covers the medication, it covers the procedure itself. But if you're over 35 and you need some variants of IVF, like I mentioned, the donor egg conception or donor sperm conception or surrogacy, then the costs go a lot more higher. So you'll be looking at like a 2.5 million range, or sometimes as high as 3 million to accommodate the compensation for the donors that will come on the scene. And if you're now going in for full-time surrogacy, oh no, you're looking at like a 7, 8, 9 million range. Wow. So it's expensive. And we need to understand that IVF is expensive worldwide. It's not just in Nigeria. The procedure is costly. The reagents they use, the doctors have to retrain time and time again. The tools they use, So these things affect the cost of, whatever service that hospital will give the patient.
An additional concerns that some have had is, the issue of success rates.
Yes.
I mean, I know someone who, even reading up on this topic, I just realized how blessed, she is really, because she was a first-timer IVF, utilizing it for the very first time, and it worked. And you are given an experience of how you had to go through this more than once. You say 3 times, and I think that would also be something that prospective parents through IVF would also want to consider, as in, why should I have to pay so much? And at the end of the day, after all, we are not God. It's a 50-50 chance. And then the issue of the concerns about unused eggs, because my limited understanding says that, okay, there would be eggs that embryo that are unused. Is it the same as abortion for people who have concerns about that issue?
Okay, so let's look at your first question. Concerns around finances, yes? That was your first question.
Right.
And the success rate. Now, the thing is, when we recap to what I said earlier, if you get help early enough, chances are you will succeed early enough. Now, the girl child was born with all her eggs complete. And the minute she starts getting old, her ovarian reserve starts to depreciate. Her egg quality starts to go down and reduce. So a 35-year-old woman sitting in front of the doctor and a 45-year-old woman sitting in front of the same doctor will not achieve success at the same time. We need to understand that. So your success in IVF depends on the maternal age, most of the time. And then the quality of the sperm backing her up. So we like to say we are a sum total, not just the man or the woman. We are a sum total. So if the woman is suboptimal and the man is peak, he can pull her up a bit. I don't want to complicate it. But the simple truth is, the younger you are as a woman, and if you know you're going for IVF, the younger you are as a woman, the chances of success are high. So, for instance, I didn't start IVF until I was 37. I was already at my peak and I was falling. So imagine me at 37 and a woman at 25 or 26 running through IVF. She will most likely get pregnant before me. Yeah. So the thing is, start early and then improve your chances. So the doctor will tell you, adjust your diet, adjust your lifestyle, and do this, do that, so that we can achieve optimum. So the thing is, I like to look at success this way. You are starting with a 0. You've tried on your own for years and you're not able to have a child. IVF brings you to that table where you are like 50%. So I would rather embrace that 50% than keep flogging that 0 that is not working. So when you're dealing with someone, you'll say, what is your advantage? What can you tweak around to make sure that you have like an 80% success first time? So you're looking at advantage-based treatment. If a person needs donor eggs, then recommend donor eggs. If a person needs donor sperm, then do that. If it's surrogacy, then do that. And then coming to the issue of excess eggs or embryos, unfortunately, the thing about IVF is that for most of the parts, you have to super ovulate the woman so that she produces a lot of eggs. On a monthly basis, a woman releases 1 egg, usually. Sometimes she's fortunate to release 2 at a time. But IVF helps you super ovulate. You have plenty eggs. And then the hospital can sieve through and say, which one looks nice, which one is bad, which one does not look good. and then narrow it down.
Microscopically?
Yes, because you can't even see this thing with your human eye. And then say, let's give this woman or this couple the best chance. They select the best eggs, the best sperm, and you know, they go on to fertilize. Now, the thing is, you don't have to discard those unused eggs or unused embryos. You can donate and give them out with your consent for other people to use. But as technology improves, IVF is improving in such a way that you don't need to super ovulate people anymore. You can use like a natural cycle IVF and develop a fewer quantity eggs, and then, you know, take the man's sperm and go through a cycle. But then it means that if that cycle does not work, you might have to repeat it again. So you have to weigh the options. And
all right, before we go, because I'm looking at the time, talk to us about surrogacy that you mentioned earlier on, because that's another option.
Yes.
That's another alternative that people can also use to talk to us about that.
Okay, surrogacy is basically for a woman who is not able to carry a pregnancy herself, either because she has medical health issues that would put her at risk, or maybe because her uterus is compromised in one way or the other, i.e. through repeated fibroid surgeries or endometriosis and things like that. And it involves bringing a woman who is a third party, who is not in your marriage arrangement, who you are contractually bound to carry your embryo. So she goes through IVF treatment. Okay. She's not, the hospital will knock her down, so she's not able to produce her own eggs. And then you donate your eggs, your husband or your partner donates his sperm, form an embryo or a lot more embryos, and then you transfer into another woman who is a third party. And if she gets pregnant, she carries that baby to term. The baby does not have any genetic DNA connection with her. In my own case, my surrogate was an Indian. So, and my children don't look Indian. You understand me? So she's just a host. She's a gestational host. The first line of treatment is for the hospital to knock down her ability to generate her own eggs, so she does not get pregnant with her own baby. And after the 8-9 month period, and she has a child, the hospital hands over your baby to you. And it's
That's
interesting.
the end of the contract.
That's the end of the contract. And it's interesting that we have it in Nigeria. We have it successfully. Amazing. And a lot of homes have been blessed with children that way.
We have so much that we need to talk about this, because my head is pumping with a lot of questions, but we don't have all the time right now. But we thank you so much, Tony, for coming on the program. And we thank you for what you're doing for people, enlightening them and creating opportunities for peoples and families. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bless your lovely family.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.